and Elder Rick Rob. All right, so I'm going to leave you with music from Voices of Fire with Joy Unspeakable. Brother Michael, I'm going to send this one.
These bones live. You see they're dry. You see there's no marrow in the bone. You see they're scattered all over the valley. They ain't even full skeletons. I mean, the bones are scattered all over the valley. They're just bones. But answer me a question, Ezekiel. Can these bones live? Ezekiel answers the only way he knows how to answer. Lord, you know. Critical race theory was born out of critical legal theory. Am I teaching y'all something today? There emerged two common beliefs linking all critical race theories. First, white supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's just a fact. How in the world are you going to fight against that being taught in any school? White supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's a fact. Why don't you want that to be taught in school? You let your schools teach us that Columbus discovered America. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that George Washington couldn't tell a lie. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that some slave owners were beneficent and good slave owners. There were no good slave owners. Anybody who owned people was evil. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that Abraham Lincoln was good for Negroes. No, Abraham Lincoln was trying to save the Union. And Abe Lincoln himself said if he could save the Union and keep black people in chains, he would do it. That's a lie. Come on, somebody. You let them teach us about a white Jesus. You let them teach us that Native Americans were the aggressors. Come on, somebody. That white folk had a manifest destiny and that the pilgrims were good and Native Americans. That's a lie. All day, every day, you let them teach us lies. All throughout my history in school, I was taught lies. But you got a problem with critical race theory because it teaches the truth that white supremacy has subordinated black people and people of color. The right to bear arms. Let me just back up a little bit and let me take you on back to the late 1960s when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. And they were oppressing black folk, and a group of men and women known as the Black Panther Party decided that they were going to defend the rights of black folk. And the Black Panthers decided that the Second Amendment wasn't just for white folk. So they strapped themselves with guns and showed up at the Capitol in California. And when they saw them Negroes with guns, come on, somebody. That's why I say if you ever really want to get gun laws changed, just strap all these Negroes up. They'll change them laws before the week is over. When the Black Panthers, watch this, I want you to read, the California legislator passed what was called the Mulford Act. It was a gun control act that decided who could get guns, who couldn't get guns, what could be in your background, what couldn't be in your background. It was the first time in history that the National Rifle Association, the NRA, supported restrictive gun legislation, all because black folk had the nerve to get strapped. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, go get strapped. Amen, somebody. Y'all gonna say Bishop told us to get strapped. I said it. Go get strapped. It just got real quiet up in here. But y'all already know I'm a triple P. Amen. Y'all know what a triple P is, right? A pistol packing preacher. Amen, somebody.
Look at that.
Hey family, what's going on, y'all? Getting situated in the studio.
You got a responsibility to go back.
Let somebody know I's on the air right now. All right. Like, share, subscribe. Rep your city, rep your town. I can't see my chat for some reason, which is kind of weird. But, you know, we'll do what we can.
But reach your hand back down the ladder and pull somebody else up out of Lodabar.
We'll figure it out one way or another. That's the thing about modern communication technology. It's not foolproof.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
So I'll get to y'all some other way. Either way, rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. We'll get everybody else on deck.
It's all right if you got it now. Just hold it for me. I'll be there to get it after a while.
Instagram on deck. I gotta get my Twitter Spacers on deck.
It is for me.
You did that awesome.
I might not have it right now. I may not get it next week because you might try to stop me from getting it. But if God said it's mine, I want you to know after a while, I'm going to get what belongs to me.
All right, Twitter Spaces on deck. Instagram is on deck. YouTube is on deck.
Sometimes God got to strip what you got so you don't depend on yourself.
Facebook is on deck.
You got to take away from you so you understand.
I am at a disadvantage because I cannot see my chat. Usually I have my chat in 3 places. All of my chat in one place, rather.
Thank you, Jesus. Our young people are dying.
But we'll make do, y'all.
Crackdown. Suicide. Homicide. They'll kill you at the drop of a dime.
Okay, now I'm live on Instagram. I thought my gram was on and it wasn't.
Yet the crime still
Now it is. Welcome to the gram. 90.7 WTCC. Good morning and welcome to the Spoken Word. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II. And as usual, we'll be telling it like it is through cultural idioms and nuances that shape the order, ethos, and chaos of the African American experience. Words have their own vitality. They shape their own consciousness and create their own context for interpreting social and spiritual reality. The spoken word contains the power to reshape the landscape of society. It is 4 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. And I want to thank Sister Sonia, who's sitting in for Brother Kenneth Barnett with the promise, and you can hear the promise every Monday morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., bringing you the best in gospel music. Good way to start out your Monday morning. Great way to start out your week. And man, has this week started with a bombshell in terms of the national election. And listen, I titled this show, and I know, the haters going to say what they're going to say. And I don't know, those who monitor my pages might even try to trip today. But I call this one the AKA versus the KKK. Because that's where we are in this year's presidential election. The AKA versus the KKK. Now, that's not removing criticism from Kamala Harris, because there's been some legitimate criticism. I had some legitimate criticism when she was running in the primary, when she lost to Joe Biden in the primary. And I critiqued some parts of her record as district attorney of San Francisco and attorney general of California. And anyone who has a record, it's worth critiquing, and it should be critiqued for sure. But listen, it is what it is. We didn't have the most pristine candidates when Joe Biden was in the race. You had the father of the crime bill versus the son of the Klansman. So it's a new dynamic, and we're just going to open up the phone lines and we're going to talk about it. 413-736-2781, 413-736-2781. If you're in the social media space, welcome. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Like I said, I'm at a disadvantage. I cannot see my chat, so I'm going to try to do something on the music break to try to see if I can get my chat up. I'm going to bring my granddaughters in to give us the weather. They're in the studio with me today. It's summertime, and so, they're here hanging out with their grandparents. So stay with us. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. Peace.
But the essence of growth has changed. The being in the room will be the end of the road if you refuse to change. Reach a little higher, reach a little higher, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, go a little further, go a little further. Come on, come on, come on. Reach a little higher, come on, yeah. Dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper.
I'm gonna see if I can get my chat.
Go a little further, come on, don't stop. The essence of life is growth, but the essence of growth is change. The being in the road will be the end of the road if you refuse to change. Your life will never change until you get disgusted with where you are. Whatever you don't hate is what you tolerate. You must learn from the past, plan for the future, and live.
I'll see what I can do to get this chat up and right. I cannot see my Facebook.
One step at a time. You got to break the routine of allowing others get into your head to control who you
But do me a favor, rep your city. Social media can play with me. I mean, we gonna make do around here. We're gonna figure out a way that we can talk to our people. So y'all can do what y'all want. Do your best. Do the best you can. But we is going to around here.
You'll never discover your greatness without hard work.
We gonna see
Greatness says more about who you
what
are
our people say.
And greatness will always attract grace. Show me your
Yes, sir.
Show you the future. You just a step away. You just a step away.
All right, let me get the grand girls in here.
Come on. You just a step away. You're almost there. You gotta be patient. You see, there's no mountain too high, no valley too low. You can go. It's all in the power of your soul. You can do the impossible. So stretch yourself. Take yourself to the next level. Come on. Reach a little higher. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Come on. Reach a little higher. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Don't stop. Come on. Yeah. Come on. Come on. Blessings are coming your way.
All right, y'all. Let's get it. Rep that city. Rep that town. Let me know where you chime in from.
I look in the mirror and I like what I see. Strong,
Beautiful black man.
staring back at me.
One who's seen a lot
Seen a lot of pain and had her share of sorrow.
and who never gave up hope for
for
brighter tomorrow.
I've been lied to, cheated on, stolen from and hid. But it
Without a strong shoulder to step to. Yeah. So I've been traveling, doing some things. It took a little bit of time on vacation, family with the children and the grandchildren, and hung out on Martha's Vineyard, and uh, then I came back and worked like a whirlwind. Left and went directly to Las Vegas conference, national convention, and back here got a little ill when I got back here, so 3 days I've been laying in bed and trying to recover, and finally got back to my preached at my church, and a shout out at that to allow me that sacred space yesterday, even though I was in service, wasn't feeling 100%, and he just came in and preached the house down at Spring of Hope and went on about his business. So shout out to him, and to all of the saints and visitors and everybody at Spring of Hope. Pastor loves you very much. Appreciate you so very much. I know we have our jurisdictional women's convention coming up in a week or so. Hopefully somebody will text me to get off of the air for the Vermont Ecclesiastical Jurisdiction of the Church of God in Christ. Will be held at Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ. So on behalf of Mother Valerie Fields, our jurisdiction, with me. It's summertime, so they come up, and, hang out with and ancient I am, in the 2000s is 24, which is relatively young. So if you're more than 24, you were born in the 1900s. I want to say nothing, but come here. I want to at least show your face. Yeah, both of y'all come around here. Let me introduce y'all to the audience that are seeing us and that are listening to us. Come on now. I got a show to do. I got some important stuff I got to talk about. Now they're 13 now. They're going. You see the camera. I need people come here so I can. This is Maya.
I'm uncomfortable here.
Yeah, this is Maya, and this is Roxy.
Hi.
Y'all say hello.
Hi.
Okay, wave at the people. Okay, y'all can go sit down. So, all of the concerns you get when girls are growing up, they start wearing stuff, and you be like, looking like, don't you think you too young to be wearing? And as much as they are growing up and stuff, when I took them to the beach on the vineyard, and they turned from these 13-year-old growing up too fast to the little girls that I used to bring to the beach when they were 5 and 6 years old. I mean, digging in the sand and playing in the water. So to them somewhere. Anyway, Maya, giving me the weather. Okay, Maya is gonna give us the weather today. Wait, Roxy? Oh, she didn't. Roxy didn't want to give it, so it's like she's celebrating. Like, you know. Okay. Anyway, you gotta speak into the mic, babe. Speak into the mic. Okay. Give me the weather.
The weather is Springfield, Massachusetts is 73 degrees. The highest is supposed to be 86 and the lowest is supposed to be in the late 50s.
Okay. All right. Y'all like this hot weather?
It's not hot.
It's not hot. See, Roxy comes from Dallas, so you know.
I just lived in Texas.
Yeah. So my Texas crew here, they're like, y'all, this ain't hot. This ain't.
Hot. We're literally wearing sweatpants and a hoodie right now.
It's really not hot.
It's not hot.
That's because they're crazy. You know, wearing sweat shirts in this weather, it ain't normal.
Yes, it is.
It's just not hot.
Exactly, and we're comfortable. That's all that
What
matters.
she said.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's just not hot, huh?
It's really not.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, it's hot.
Nuh-uh.
Not one bit.
Like Nelly said, it's getting hot in here. So take off that sweat. Shirt. Okay. Anyway, 90 points. Good morning to each and every one of you. So listen, let's get the conversation popping. Because let's just kind of get a recap here. Let's just kind of see if we can recap what's going on. So for a while, even before the debate, before the concerns that were raised at the debate about Joe Biden's performance and yada yada yada, a lot of black folks were questioning the Democrats regarding a number of things, regarding an agenda for black people, regarding initiatives that they had promised us, regarding bills that had not been passed, and really wondering whether or not black folk were getting what they should have out of an administration that would not be in office if it were not for black voters. And that's just the reality. The reality is black votes got this administration in office. Black voters in Philadelphia that turned Pennsylvania from red to blue. Black voters in Milwaukee that turned Wisconsin. Black voters in Michigan, in Detroit rather, that turned Michigan. Black voters in Atlanta that turned Georgia. So black voters across the nation that got this administration in. The turning of the tide of Jim Clyburn and those in South Carolina that turned the momentum even in the primary toward Joe Biden. So there's no doubt about the fact that this administration owed black voters when it came to the reason it was in power. And there are those who will say that the administration has done a good job in terms of prioritizing black voters, or in terms of what it has done for black voters since it has been in office, and they will roll off those things. There are others who say that the things that were done were not done specifically for black voters. They were done as part of the Democrat agenda in general, and will have some level of benefit for black voters, like it will benefit other voters. That The complaint is that while other demographics have legislation and policies and resources specifically targeted for them, black voters normally get the rising tide lifts all boats types of legislation. That this legislation will also benefit black people, but it's not specifically for black people. That the Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders can specifically get a hate crime bill that in the preamble of the bill will specifically state Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. But there will be no such bill for black people that will say this is specifically to benefit and to protect black people. That is a major complaint of the black community, and it's a legitimate complaint. Okay, and you can't dismiss that complaint. And I get it because many politicians will say, "Hey, listen, if we say that this is for black people." Good morning, Whitney. I see my daughter on here. If we say this is specifically for black people, they won't pass it. There'll be people scared to vote for it, including black people that are scared to vote for it. So we have to be very strategic and slick the way that we try to benefit black people. So these complaints were going long before the concerns about Joe Biden's frailty or his health, etc. Then, of course, came the way that the administration has handled the genocide in Gaza. Its unequivocal stance in support of Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel. It deciding to wait until over 30,000 Palestinian civilians had gotten murdered before it finally decided, after putting its finger in the wind and testing the tide, we might want to say something about a ceasefire. We might want to finally agree that there should be a ceasefire. And so there were black people then who were talking high profile, high level, influential black people who were saying, I will never vote for Joe Biden, based upon his handling of Gaza happening already. So let's not pretend that Democrats were not already, okay? They were already in trouble. Not to mention, Joe Biden's approval rating was around 35%. Kamala Harris's around 38%. And notwithstanding, now none of this is in support of or justification of Trump. So y'all, let's first of all, let's set the ground rules of this conversation. Okay. Criticism of Democrats does not equal endorsement of Republicans. I need y'all to get that. I need for y'all to understand that. Because for some reason, when we get into this political conversation, it's like black people can't be balanced. It's like we have to go on the attack of anyone who has any legitimate critique of Democrats to say that they must be undercover in support of Trump. It's the most outlandish foolishness in the whole political debate. I spent 4 years critiquing everything Trump did when he was president. I don't think you can find a preacher in the nation who was more consistent and vociferous in the critique of Trump during his administration than I was. Okay? Then all of a sudden, if I critiqued anything Biden did, oh, you just an undercover Trump supporter. Come on, man. We got to be more mature than that. Especially when the evidence doesn't point anything to that. We got to stop this stuff that if somebody critiques Biden, they must be for Trump. We got to be mature enough to understand that we have a right to critique the political process. And especially when black people give 95% of their votes to Democrats, then we can't say nothing critical of them. We can't hold them accountable. Then we have the lame argument, well, what's the choice? What do you suggest we do? So in other words, the expectation is shut up and deal with whatever the Democrats put in front of you, or else we're going to label you as a sycophant of the right wing and a Trump supporter. We got to stop doing that. We got to stop doing that. And it's no different than folks on the right, that if you critique the right, if you critique Trump, then they automatically make you a Democrat. And many of us, like I'm a registered independent. You know, they automatically and they think they're one-upping you by talking smack about the Democrats. I'm like, okay, good point. I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent. So you ain't hurting my feelings, you know, by it's not a counter argument. It doesn't do anything to counter my critique of the Republicans by you talking smack about the Democrats, because I ain't a Democrat either. All right, so let's just set that ground rule, okay? Let's just make that clear. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we came to this pressure after the debate. He poorly performed at the debate, and mounting pressure from within the party to push him out. Here's my problem with Democrats. Democrats will eat their own. This reminds me of when they forced Al Franken, who I thought was a good senator. They forced Al Franken out of the U.S. Senate during the Me Too, that time of the whole Me Too movement. And it was over something relatively benign, something he did while he was a comedian, something that I don't think was worth him being forced to resign. But Nancy Pelosi and the whole kit and caboodle of them went to force Al Franken out, a good guy who I thought was a benefit to the Democrat Party. They forced him out. What Republicans do is they stand behind their candidate, lock, stock, and barrel. They don't care. See, if a question is raised about a Democrat, Democrats will rally to put their own out. Is standing over a dead body with a stab wound with the knife in their hand and blood dripping from the knife. Republicans will support their candidate and say he's innocent and we're supporting him. That's the difference. So Joe Biden obviously has had some decline from the time he became president to now. That happens when you're at that age. I watched that happen. I traveled all over the nation with my late uncle, the late Bishop Talbert Swan the first, who passed away at 95. And I saw between the time he was 80 to 85, I saw the decline, how that can rapidly occur at that age. And at 1 minute, he was traveling with me and walking through airports at 80 years old. We were traveling all over the nation, walking through airports, the whole nine. I didn't have to order him a wheelchair or anything. Within a few years, that was drastically different. He went from walking through airports to being on a walker. So I understand how 4 or 5 years when you're over 80 years old can make a definite difference. We're pushing their own guy out, and they have created this now level of uncertainty in terms of what is going to happen. Now, President Biden has endorsed Kamala Harris. And is coming up in August. There are a number of folks who are lining up behind her in terms of her being the nominee. There are many who are saying there's no way that she election against Donald Trump. Let me pose the opposite side of this, which is Democrats saying that Biden needed to step aside the election. But once again, Republicans are like, we don't care what Trump does. I mean, they have said, listen, y'all remember when Trump was running the first time, when in 2016, and he bragged. He said, I can go out on Fifth Avenue. I want y'all to watch this, because I know Trump is a heathen, so I don't dare say he spoke prophetically. Okay. But he said, I can go out on Fifth Avenue. Anybody know anything about New York? You understand that. I go out on Fifth Avenue and kill somebody, and I wouldn't lose one supporter. He was telling y'all the truth. He was telling y'all the truth. Okay? Because 91 indictments later, 34 felony convictions later, one adjudicated court case that says he is a sexual predator, one court case that says that he stole from a nonprofit and can never run a nonprofit in the state of New York ever again, 26 rape allegations later, 2 impeachments later, and half the country is still supporting this guy. Not only is half the country still supporting this guy, but the Supreme Court has said, well, you know what? We understand that he incited a violent insurrection in which 104 police officers were injured and one was murdered, and which they did millions of dollars worth of damage to the U.S. Capitol and attempted to capture and hang the vice president of the United States of America and to overthrow the U.S. government. We understand that. But you know what? There ought to be certain immunities that presidents have when they're in office and doing their official duties as president. So the Supreme Court said he was immune from prosecution of any official acts he did as president. Let me tell you the danger of that ruling. Danger of that ruling is not just how it affects the case against him regarding the January 6th insurrection. It's really about the future. It's really about creating a dictatorship for these yet to be United States of America. Let's say Trump gets into office again, January 20th, 2025, he takes the oath of office. January 21st, he orders the FBI to assassinate any of his political rivals. Okay? That's an official act as president. That's the only one who can order the FBI like that is the president, because they report to him. So if in his capacity as president of the United States, he officially requests the FBI to assassinate a U.S. citizen that opposes him, and they do it, the Supreme Court of the United States of America has said he is immune from prosecution. Now, if a man can order the murder of other U.S. citizens and cannot be prosecuted for it, that makes that man or woman above the law. And it doesn't make them an elected president. It makes them a dictator that cannot be checked by any of the systems of the U.S. government. Cannot be checked by the executive branch because he or she is over the executive branch, cannot be checked by the Congress, and cannot be checked by the judiciary because the Supreme Court said they cannot even be prosecuted for it. That's the danger of that Supreme Court ruling. And I don't know if you guys really understand that, because people think, well, Bishop, you being hyperbolic, nothing like that would happen. Who are we talking about? Who are we talking about that could potentially be president? Before you think I'm taking a leap, think about who we're talking about. Not only that, next week we'll get more into Project 2025, all of the things that are part of Project 2025 that would begin to be implemented if he became president, and having the double protection of being immune from prosecution. Was having a conversation with some members of the clergy, and this is reality in America, friends, and it's been coming for a long time, and it's been right up under our nose, and I think we've just been ignoring it. We are literally a couple of laws away from the plantation. I want y'all to understand that. We are a couple of laws away from the plantation. I started saying this a couple of years ago. People were like, you're going overboard, yada, 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 yada. Then they got rid of affirmative action. They'd already gutted the the Voting Rights Act. They gutted that. Listen, they gutted that in 2013. We just been asleep for the last 11 years. They gutted the Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act has not been enforceable for 11 years, y'all. We've been talking about it in in classes and as we do our Black History Month commemorations and we talk about the landmark legislation, and without the context that this landmark 1965 Voting Rights Act has not been enforceable for 11 years, that it was gutted by the Supreme Court in 2013. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning, Bishop. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Okay, yeah, I just want to say your points that you're making are right and exact. And I just want to say that, with this new election coming up and, people, think that their votes don't count, I think they should reconsider and take it very seriously, because just 60 years ago, we was just coming up, around the Civil Rights Act. It's just only been 60 years ago since we started seeing some type of change. And so we can't get comfortable in this year, 2024, going forward, thinking that, the laws of the land are never going to change and, everything is going to be better for us. It was just 60 years ago when we was fighting for some type, just a little bit equality. And so we can't fall asleep on this, especially with the Supreme Court. It's been compromised, and, we know who the Supreme Court is for. So we really got to really take heed to what you're saying and take this whole situation seriously. Thanks for allowing me to make the comment.
All right. Appreciate your call. 413-736-2781. Phone lines are open if you want to chime in. I'm trying to paint a picture for y'all to see that how we can be asleep while they're behind the scenes making major moves. Gutted the Voting Rights Act. That's the reason why they can make all these crazy voting laws. How you can't give an elderly woman a glass of water who's standing in line to vote in Georgia. Crazy stuff like that because of the Voting Rights Act being gutted and unenforceable. Good morning, caller. Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing, Bishop? God bless you.
I'm good.
It's good to hear your granddaughters in there. I got granddaughters too, man. They rule.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, but I'm talking about the topic. When Trump first ran for office, and I was reading his slogan, "Let's make America great again," I started talking about the plantation then. When he said, "Let's make America great again," I said, when has been great for black folks? So but you're right, you better watch out. All this stuff and when Trump talked about he could go kill somebody and wouldn't nobody do nothing for him on Fifth Avenue, he's right, he can. Trump can do anything he wants to, and they're going to stand behind him. Like you're saying, Republicans, ride or die. They stand behind each other. Thank you.
All right, appreciate you. I want y'all to see the progression, though. So when they gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, they had a 5-4 conservative majority on the Supreme Court. Okay? Trump got to appoint another justice. By the time they got rid of affirmative action, they had a 6-3 conservative majority. Consistently going after the gains that were made in the civil rights struggle. The next president can potentially appoint 2 new justices. Let's say that person is Donald Trump. That 6-3 majority that just got rid of affirmative action and will no doubt come after some additional civil rights gains. That majority can move up to 8-1. Now understand, these are lifetime appointments. These people serve until they die. Okay? And the policies that they make by their rulings live long after they're dead. The policies that are made by their rulings affect not just my grandchildren, who you heard in here a little while ago, their children. So So imagine if a 5-4 conservative majority said, "The heck with it, we're gonna gut the Voting Rights Act," and a 6-3 majority said, "The heck with it, we're gonna gut affirmative action." Do you think it's beyond an 8-1 majority conservative Supreme Court to say, "You know what? We're gonna repeal the 13th Amendment that outlawed slavery and leave it up to the states," because that's their whole thing, states' rights, states' rights. We're going to leave it up to the states to decide whether they want to have slavery or not. Y'all think that's far-fetched? You think that, when we were talking about this 2 years ago or so, oh, no, nothing like that ain't going to ever happen again. Yeah, okay. Let them get an 8-1 conservative majority on the Supreme Court with this "Make America White Again" mentality, and it would not surprise me if they repealed the 13th Amendment and left it up to the states whether or not they wanted to have slavery, and your grandchildren be back in chains. Maybe not even your grandchildren, maybe in our lifetime while we're still living. This is how dangerous this thing is, and I don't think that y'all really understand that. This thing is serious. This isn't hyperbole. This is real stuff, y'all. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, God bless. May I say something, please? I'm thinking that African Americans didn't watch the convention and Make America Great Again, sir. The definition of Make America Great Again is not just white people. It means make gas prices low.
You can listen. I'm not gonna debate you, and I'm going to talk on my show. Okay, so if you want to pause and respond, we can do that. But we're not gonna vie for who gonna talk, because I'm gonna always win that. All right, so just to set the ground rules for those who are calling in, if I'm trying to talk, ask a question or make a point, you're gonna let me talk, or I'm gonna hang up the phone on you. It's real simple. So the point I was making was this: you can theorize about what "Make America Great Again" means. You can give me all of the conservative talking points. Donald Trump did not run on no agenda to make gas prices great again, because gas prices weren't high when he ran. Donald Trump ran because a black man became president. Okay? And he inherited a wonderful economy from that black man. So it ain't had nothing to do with no gas prices. So come back again on that one. Make America Great Again begs the question: when was America great? Okay, caller, and I challenge you to call me back and tell me, when was America great? Prior to Trump running in 2016, when was America great? Was it great during the time of segregation? Was it great when black people were being legally lynched all over the United States? Was it great when we were enslaved on the plantation? What era of the history of America was it ever great for black people? Because when a white man says "Make America Great Again," I need to know when it was so great. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
You're on the air.
Okay, I just wanted to talk about amendments and the power of the Supreme Court and changes. You were mentioning about the Civil Rights Act, but here's something else to think about. If the legislature wanted to, for example, make a change to the 22nd Amendment, which limits the term of the president, and that were to pass, imagine what that would do. As we're talking about a dictatorship, that is a possibility as well. So that person could be in office unlimited or until they die. So we have to think about who we're putting in office, who we're electing, and it's not just the president. We have to be active when it comes to our representatives and our senators. They are writing laws and bills, as well as they have the electoral vote. So please be cognizant, be thoughtful, be intentional about information that you gather before you cast your vote, and put everybody in office, including our legislators, who then write the bills that get to the Supreme Court, and the president appoints those individuals.
All right. Appreciate that information. 413-736-2781. Let me go into the Twitter space. Rashid, you got the microphone first. Go ahead and bust like a bubble.
Hello?
Yes, you're in the space.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Yeah, Bishop.
Go right ahead.
Because I am looking through I'm Muslim, so and I listen to you from time to time. Now, in the Black Muslim community, not the Arab, but the Black Muslim community, we are bringing these same issues to the forefront. Now, when you go back and listen to what Dr. Claude was saying and what Dr. Omar was saying, and that these issues, these policies, and these agendas of the conservative party, they were going to do what you just mentioned. They're going to attack the civil rights. They're going to attack a lot of these issues, even going back to the 13th Amendment. They said exactly what you said, but they said it years ago.
Yeah.
What was going to take place if we don't get ourselves together now. And it seems like that we don't get ourselves together unless the issues are on our doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the issue we are now. It's on our doorstep now. How are we going to deal with that? How are we going to navigate through that system? Because we see the system is not going to attack everybody. It's going to attack specifically the Black community, because the Black community is one of the strongest community and one of the only largest ethnic groups here in America that can upfront and fight that system.
Absolutely. And you know, they have been, this has been in place, like Brother Rashid has said, for years. This whole Project 2025 was an outbirth of the Heritage Foundation that started back in the 1970s. I know it's a lot of reading, but there are a number of drawn down versions that give you the major bullet points. It's 932 pages. We don't even have a 9-page response that Dr. Freddie Haynes is fond of saying. That they started implementing back during the Reagan administration. Here's the thing, they played the long game. And we get tired and can't come up with a short-term strategy. They've been trying to take us back to the plantation for a long time. This thing is real, y'all. This thing is, and for Black people to try to explain to me that make America great again out of the mouth of the son of a Klansman means something altruistic that is beneficial to Black people. Are you serious? Come on, man. Untouchable Jay, you got the microphone. You're in the space. I'm gonna get to your telephone call, so hold the line, y'all. Don't lose patience with me.
Brother Bishop, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, you and Brother Rashid hit on something I was just thinking about. I'm telling people this for years, especially brothers and sisters. We have to become informed prior to something happening. We can't get onto this default issue level of thinking where, we get, really focused on what's going on when a problem is at our doorstep. If you read a few pages a day of Project 2025, you'll have it done, because everybody's like, I'm not reading 900 pages. No one said read 900 pages in a day. But you need to know what's going on, because the enemy is literally giving you an open book test on what they plan to do. And then we need to strategize in the primaries and our local delegates and senators and state reps, put people in position who are going to block things that come down the pipeline, God forbid, but if Trump wins, because we have to be more informed preemptively before things happen, because, you know, it's just like black folks keep waiting on the next boogeyman. And we have to stop doing that. If we're ready and our defenses are up and we're informed, then we'll be in a position, we'll be able to protect ourselves.
Absolutely. If we get ready, then we'll already be ready and we won't have to get ready. Appreciate you. Let's see. Those of you who are calling in, y'all lost patience. 413-736-2781 is the number. The Negro Black Knight. You up next. You got the mic.
Hi, good morning, Bishop.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Good.
I'm gonna say the title had me chuckling and laughing, and I wanted to say thank you for posting up the title. It was very interesting.
Yes, sir.
With that being said, I look at this as the result of misleadership in our community when it comes to these frats and sororities since the civil rights, and I think that this is a time to kind of rein them in. There shouldn't be a woman like Kamala Harris using our systems to harm and lock up our brothers and our sisters and to discredit our brothers and our sisters. And I really think it's time for us to correct these type of organizations so they can actually be beneficial to the whole entire Black American collective, solely to us, because it was designed by us through slavery and such. It was not meant for everybody. And I'm going to leave it as that.
All right. Appreciate you. I think my counter to that would be, you know, the college fraternities and sororities, they really have no idea at that point in time, the point of you pledging, they can see that you have a future, but don't know exactly what the future is. That no one at Howard, the Howard chapter of AKA, knew that Kamala Harris would go on to be the district attorney, the attorney general, any of the things that you may critique that she did in public office. There was no way of predicting that would happen while she was a college student on campus. Even when I pledged Iota Phi Theta on UMass's campus, they had no idea what the future held in terms of what I would become later on in the future. So while I understand your point, and there's a certain level of vetting that is done, it's really difficult to kind of forecast. I don't think Tim Scott necessarily belongs to a Black Greek letter organization, but who would have been able to guess on the college campus that he would be at this point in his lifetime. Let me see here. Let me see. I think I got some connection issues happening. Yeah. I got to wrap up the program. I think I'm going to take one more. Juan Johnson. I think you're going to have the last word, brother, so make it profound.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
My name is Juan Johnson. I'm with Lone Farms Training. And my question to you is this: why should we trust the preachers right now? They have been the ones who remain quiet the most. I'm not saying what you say is not good, it's not clear, but why should we trust preachers in times of war? Because we're at war.
Okay. Who should you trust? Because I'm not speaking to you as a preacher. I'm speaking to you as a Black man, in the Black community. And why is it time to question whether or not people trust the preacher? And let's just keep it a buck. Many preachers have been quiet in times where they should have spoken up. Many are quiet right now when they should be speaking up. And no one has been more critical of the quiet preachers than preachers like me. But at the same time, you can trust who you can trust. I mean, you don't paint any demographic in our community with a broad brush. Some lawyers you should trust. Some lawyers you can't trust. Some preachers you can trust. some preachers you can't trust. I mean, that's the way it goes. You have to be the one who discerns who deserves your trust and who does not deserve your trust. I don't think you just paint all preachers or all anybody with the same broad brush. I got to move out your way. I got to go, y'all. Mrs. Cynthia Butler is in the studio. She's coming up next with mid-morning jazz, great black music, and more. So we got to transition out the way. Y'all get up and give Miss Cynthia a seat. We gotta get out your way and transition. I'll be back on Friday on the Black Love Experience, and we'll continue this conversation. I think it's worth doing, well, maybe even more than 2 shows. Who knows? In terms of what's happening out there in the community. So listen, tune in to me on Friday at 9 a.m. We'll do this all over again on the Black Love Experience. Coming up next, mid-morning jazz, great black music. If you're looking for a place to worship, check us out at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Massachusetts, the Brick Church right there at 6 Corners. Until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, God loves you, and so do I. Peace and blessings. All right, y'all. I'm gonna check y'all out. Deuces.
This one is for all the brothers that passed, but more particularly one because it affected me drastically. I remember my sister gave me the call and I was in awe. Matter of fact, it felt the farthest from reality. She seen somebody post RIP with his name, and I said I doubt it's the same friend I had since the 7th grade. She said I'ma call her sister and double check, and called me back, said he hanged himself in his room and had been there for days. Initially